place looks really good.
It's really good to see you.
You too. Where do I stand with Pam? No idea.
Hello guys. Wow, we didn't expect that reaction after posting on my gaming subreddit. We're really glad to hear your welcoming comments and just want to say big thanks for supporting us. As you may have already guessed, we're going to make Zero Grounds playable not only on Windows, but also on macOS. Actually, we already have a working macOS build which runs pretty well on my 2-year-old M1 Pro 14-inch MacBook Pro. The demo is currently available as part of the closed playtest on Steam, and we're planning to give out access in the near future after we set up our dedicated Discord group.
I just think I should tell you that I've sort of started seeing someone.
Oh, that's totally cool. You can do whatever you want.
After receiving such positive feedback on these two Reddit posts, we decided to dive deeper into making the macOS build better and more optimized. Thanks to Unity, we can quickly create builds for both Windows and Mac, but the macOS version requires some unique optimization to make it play as good and smooth as on Windows. A few years ago, Apple announced their own M1 chip, which dramatically increased performance and efficiency of their computers. We think that this is a great opportunity to start exploring gaming on Mac and making it more accessible and fun. And since it's been more than 2 years since the launch of Apple Silicon processors, there is a reasonably large user base who use laptops and computers with this chip or newer versions, such as M1 Pro, which I have on my MacBook, M1 Max and the latest and greatest M2 chips. We chose the base M1 chip as a goal device for macOS, meaning that we're aiming for a smooth 60fps gameplay in 1080p with medium to high settings on a base M1 processor. Of course, if you have an older Intel-based Mac, the game will also work, especially if you have one of the more beefier specs which are seen on iMacs and 16-inch MacBooks from a couple of years ago. We're also aiming to add full controller support by release. Even though I love Apple's trackpad, it might not be an ideal input device for fast-paced FPS games like Zero Grounds. So you should be able to plug in your favorite controller or mouse and enjoy the game at its best and get those cheeky headshots across the map. We're also going to continue working tightly with Mac community, as we know there are many Mac gamers hungry for new games, and many developers, especially those from AAA industry, have not been so kind to this community unfortunately, even though I believe the latest Silicon chips are more than capable of running most of the modern games with decent frame rates. Stay tuned for our future updates which are coming very soon. For example, we're planning to open a Discord group later this month, where we'll be able to communicate with you guys directly, and we're really excited about it. And before I sign off, I just wanted to answer some of the questions and suggestions we got on the Reddit in the last few weeks. Headshots don't sound satisfying. I would recommend adding an additional hit sound effect for headshots, especially beyond the death hit sound and the bullet hit sound. Well, I want to point out that the sound in the game is extremely important, and I've always been a sucker for amazing and immersive sound effects, including the kill feedback. Right now we have sounds for both the normal kill and the headshot kill, but I do agree they don't sound distinct enough, and we're going to improve upon them by release. Personally, I think Battlefield 1 did it best with sounds. What do you think? The gameplay looks solid and the zero-G feature seems simple but very interesting. But from the looks of it, the zero-G just seems like something you slapped on near the end. It's like you made Call of Duty, realized, oh wait, we need to make this unique, and added the zero-G as an afterthought. Why not design more of the game around this feature? For example, add certain vantage points that are only accessible through the zero-G regions. Make the weapons interact with gravity in order to encourage entering and leaving the zero-G. This is a very solid point. Surviving in the current FPS market is a tough deal, given the fact that it's dominated by giants such as Call of Duty and Battlefield. Well, these games are not without their problems of course, but they're still making lots of profits. With regards to the question, I've actually came up with the idea of zero zones before starting the development, so I would say it is an integral part of our gameplay. We just need to make the environment facilitate them better. We're currently researching level design and how to make the gameplay more engaging, and I promise we'll try our best to make the zero-G feature as fun and integral to the gameplay as possible. I didn't watch it in its entirety, but it looks good. Dying from fall damage? From what that high looks annoying though. I didn't watch it in its entirety, but it looks good. Dying from fall damage from that height looks annoying though. Done, fall damage is gone from the game. We only left some visual feedback for when you fall from up high. This was actually pretty easy and I think fall damage is unnecessary for this type of fast-paced game. Thanks. I have a long history playing FPS games and many niche games. I have a large concern. I assume this is a multiplayer FPS due to map design. My first thought is how do you plan to get and retain players? I've played many good FPS games and just died because they were never able to gain a meaningful player base. Players are the content in PvP. Onto the actual game shown. Map design is boring, I assume this is just a mock-up map. I don't see how this anti-grav fields add to the gameplay. Performance issues might be the recording, but I saw many stutters. Art looks good, low poly shooters are in trend. I am not a fan of those directional indicators, too in the face, same with the blood. Clean UI otherwise. Sound of the weapon I personally find annoying to listen to. First thing I thought when I saw anti-grav zones is wish they were deployable. I imagine assaulting a building with them as an entry device, float through windows or get into the roof. Making this game for the browser would be a good idea in my opinion, especially if you're sticking with these kinds of maps. This is also very solid and detailed feedback. As I've mentioned before, we're seriously thinking of improving all of our existing maps to better facilitate zero zones, as well as making them more visually interesting. Besides that, most of the sounds and UI you see right now is work in progress and we're going to improve it in the coming months, as well as the performance. The browser, although, I'm not sure about that, but we'll think about it. I won't ever play your game unless I can turn off that red radar junk. Done. But jokes aside, I completely agree with this point. The blood effect definitely looks excessive, especially when you compare it to other titles. The issue with developing and testing your game is that you get so used to playing your own game that you start to overlook some of those obvious small details that distract from gameplay, which is why we're very thankful to you guys for pointing out those things. Well, I think this is gonna be it for today's video. We want to once again thank everyone for such amazing support and stay tuned for our Discord server announcement soon. Have a nice day everyone.